Okay, Merry Christmas. Welcome to our Winter Wonderland, September 10th. This is nice. Helping with downtown construction a ton. So I'll do the update from the regular meeting of council on September 8th on Monday. First thing we did was had a public hearing relating to an R1, R1A secondary suite bylaw. Those of you that have been following this, I said we weren't going to touch any of these until we had the new policy changes. This one came to us, it was unique, there was a time crunch on it. These people have been waiting for their DRP claim to be finalized. They've got that now, which is why they're doing this. And it's in an area that conforms and everything's good, and it's actually in an area that I think secondary suites fit very well into. Our vote wouldn't have changed. All that would have happened is we would have put these people off for 2 months. It's coming into winter. And we got to get these guys back in their homes. So it wasn't something that I was going to delay on issues that are internal with policy changes, because this one wouldn't have changed anything. So we had one delegation from Jim Simpson and Carly Benson on the new emergency preparedness notification and warning procedures. When we designed this system, it was primarily for flood alerts or tornadoes or natural disaster of any kind. Very much life-threatening situations that we would use the high river alert system. Then we went through with the water treatment plant issue that we had a month ago. And there's a lot of conversation between lots of us as to whether we should have used it or should not have used it for that. My biggest worry is that we use this system too much, and it turns into a cry wolf thing when you really do want people to pay attention to it, and they don't. So what this does is outlines the criteria as to how we use the high river alert system. So if we have an issue with the water treatment plant, again, like we did this time, we would definitely use the high river alert system, because it would allow us to get the reservoir back up to a manageable level faster. If there would have been a fire at that time, it had been pretty close as to whether we had enough water to put the fire out. So I think in a situation like that, any means that we can use to get the word out faster. We've got about 4,200 people signed up for High River Alert now. So this just outlines it. It's on the website, highriver.ca, in the emergency notification page. Into a couple of bylaws. Property tax, 2014 property tax penalty. This is no different than the penalties we always have on these things. You have to pay your taxes, or there's penalties. It's just standard procedure. This is just a temporary bylaw to handle the different dates and the different scheduling that because the whole program was kind of shifted over the summer due to the flood issues. Tax forgiveness, batch 10, we approved that. These are still going through 2013 taxes. You will be able to apply for 2014, those that qualify, and that'll start in a couple of months, I think. So this one was just approving the amount of $21,836.68. Next one was Wallaceville Memorandum of Understanding. And this is one that everybody in High River is paying attention to. We want that area cleaned up sooner than later, and we're on schedule with the government, is what they told us back in the spring as to how this would work. Obviously, when you're doing anything under a government program, it takes longer. There's more studies, there's more of this, there's more of that. It just takes longer. That's reality. But we're now heading into fall, and that's when we were assured that these areas would be getting cleaned up. So what this Memorandum of Understanding does is just outlines what the town's roles are, what the government's roles are. We're all on the same page, and this is how it's going to roll. I postponed us signing this document until September 22nd because I wanted our staff to go back and talk with the government, because I want dates in there that homes will start to be removed by this date, so that we've got something concrete as to how we're moving on this thing. So there's two things: buyout deadline in there. We've got to get that finished up, and there's also cleanup date and timelines as to we want that. It's an eyesore coming into High River. We all see it, and we all want it to be gone as soon as possible. So that's where that ended up. Director and Deputies of Emergency Management. This was another bit of new business. We've got a new gentleman coming on board by the name of Mark Eckley. He was involved with working with our fire department and the EOC during the flood. He's a very well experienced person with EOCs and managing those kinds of things. He's going to be working on a part-time basis, but we needed to move him into our Director of Emergency Management following when he starts in November. That shifted. Then Albert Flutman, who is now the Director, he will be the Deputy Director. And then there's two others, Paul Furness and Carly Benson, who will be Deputy Directors as well. Councillor Cooey had a notice of motion on the mini libraries, and all the motion was to ask our staff to bring back a little more information on these mini libraries as to how other communities do it. We'd really like to see this happen in High River, so it's got to go through the process, and we'll work on that because we think it's a great idea. That was about it on that. Other things that are happening, the community renewal poll. This is just an update for High River's population and where we're at in this thing. It's 15 months now. We thought about doing it sooner, but it was such a moving target that data would have lasted a week and it would have changed. So now that things are starting to settle out, we want to get a good gauge as to where we're at right now. So I'm really encouraging everybody to go to highriver.ca and go through that poll. It's extremely important for us when we're making decisions on this community as to where we're at in this town now. So much has changed. People have left, new people have come in. Things are looking really good, but we need to get a gauge on this. So please sign up and take that poll. The other one is the secondary suite open house, and I encourage everybody to attend this thing. This is a big deal for us. Obviously, the program that we had, or the non-program that we had, wasn't really working and wasn't really comfortable. We weren't comfortable with it, so we got our staff to look at different options as to how we run this program properly. I've talked about it 1,000 times, but the main issue that people need to come and get educated on is this R1 and R1A. There is a proposal on the floor that's to have discretionary use added to all R1 properties. Most of the town, most of it is an R1 designated area. Discretionary use would eliminate the need for people that wanted secondary suites to come to council and have a bylaw changed to R1A. This one, I'm just kind of going back and forth on it right now. I'm not sold either way, because the problem that we have right now is basically the whole town is R1A, because people are building secondary suites everywhere. They may or may not tell us that they are, is the only thing. So in order to get a handle on those kinds of issues, because that's completely different, because now we've got illegal suites. And in order to get a handle on that, there's the other change that we're looking at is municipal licensing for secondary suites, which there's an approved list within the town of High River. If that suite is on that list, it means it's safe, it conforms, it's up to code. Any renter looking at that can feel comfortable that everything's been taken care of, and fire issues, escape routes, all those kinds of things have been handled. If it's not on that list, I'd be reluctant to be renting that property, because obviously the property owner has not done his due diligence and repairs, and it's not up to code. It doesn't have proper access and egress out of the place, so I wouldn't want to be renting that. So that's the incentive of getting rid of the illegal suites, is because you want to be on this approved list if you're looking to rent your property. So the open house is going to be on Thursday, September 18th from 4 to 8 at Council Chambers. So again, I just encourage people to attend these things because we need the public's opinion when we're making these decisions. And I'll end it there. Thanks very much. Any questions you have, email us or we'll go from there. Thanks.